IPMNation.com.
All right, hanging out here for a second over on All Natural Being before we get ready to go live over to Facebook and YouTube. Thank you so very much for making us the #1 show here on IPM Nation. As I say every evening, thank you so very much. I truly appreciate everything you've done for us. All right, here we go.
Live from the Outpost Studios in Columbus, Ohio, you're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy, brought to you by IPMNation.com. Get ready for the gong heard round the world.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
Welcome, and thank you for stopping by. As I say, just about this time every evening, but this time it's the 292nd episode of the #1 rated show here on IPMNation.com. You're in to All Natural Being, the gong heard round the world. Broadcast as it happens here on IPM Nation, as I mentioned, and now multicast live on Facebook, YouTube, over on allnaturalbeing.com and the new Brian Brawdy app. However you have the opportunity to hang with us this evening, we're always live from the Outpost in Columbus, Ohio, with rebroadcasts now on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Greetings wherever you are, here in the garden of the mortals. Hello from the truest parts of your mind. I'm fired up because, as you know, life is your labyrinth. Your shot at running the table begins right now. That's why we're always putting your heart's highest priority top of the list, placing your primal scream where it belongs, front and center in your life, right? Like on a megaphone. We're into reinstalling and reinstating your true wit and wisdom, your inner whisper. Listen to it as it calls for you to reboot your robust, to find your ferocious, all in a time to out-brutal the brutal that is the cut and shuffle that fate may deal you on a daily basis, and to bring your own bold once and for all. But before we hit it this evening, hello to my friends here in the United States and Canada, Mexico, the UK, good friends in Ecuador, China, the Philippines, Brazil, India, Australia, Germany, Italy, France, Nigeria, Turkey, Japan, Singapore, Thailand, Belgium, Sweden, Israel, South Africa, Egypt, Puerto Rico, Kenya, the Netherlands, Colombia, Greece, Ireland, Peru, Poland. To those joining us from all over the globe, it is great to have you with us. And I truly am fired up this evening to be driving your bandwagon, to be your virtual hitchhiker if you're on your go, to be your biggest fan, to be avidly you. But again, as I start every night of late, let me ask you, why would you let anyone hijack your cognition? Why would you let anyone play you like a sock puppet? It's true that the days of needlessly torturing ourselves by being someone else's tool, well, they're over. The moment we decide to take life into our own hands. So what are we waiting for? Here's our opportunity to mortal up. So what do you say? Let's go kick in some doors. And first tonight, a little bit, before I hop into the thread, a little bit of an apology here to kick off 292, because I always say that I don't want this to be a show about politics. I do everything I can not to talk about politics in this show, but this story is one that I just can't get away from, because I know you're going to say, Brian, really? You? Yes. I found my new favorite politician. Apparently lives in South Florida. And she recently received, it seems, the endorsement from the Miami Herald in her house race because she claims as a young girl she was taken aboard a UFO by aliens. So now a politician that I can be excited about, right? Miami Herald is endorsing, according to The Hill, a congressional candidate who claims to have communicated with aliens throughout her life and says extraterrestrials once visited her. And the newspaper endorsed her. Her name is Bettina Rodriguez Aguilera, and she's running a Republican for representative in Florida's 27th congressional district. The newspaper said she's a strong candidate, blah, 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 blah. Now, in 2009, she did an interview that said all about when she boarded the spaceship, when she was just 7, a spaceship, that made a touchdown, peopled or aliened with aliens, space aliens. I went in. There were some round seats, and they were there, and some quartz rocks that controlled the ship, not like airplanes, according to the article. She said she was visited by 3 large blonde beings, right? And then they mentioned the fact that in a separate article, a majority of Americans who believe that there must be intelligent life beyond, given the universe of billions of planets and galaxies, that must be the case. So here we are, a politician worth their salt that actually has come out and let us know exactly what it is they're thinking. Now, before I do this, let me just say, for me, as I look at it, how can you look up into a nighttime sky? Right? And not the skies that, if you live here in certain parts of the states, not that the skies that you and I are accustomed, but if you live in some parts of the world where you get to look up and see nothing but the Milky Way, and you can, I talk to Henry all the time about it in Ecuador when he says, you can just, it makes your mouth water. You can reach out and touch it. A good friend Nijirba was telling me about the Milky Way. It's just amazing. And then when you look out and you think, all of the stars, all of the possible planets, even for some of the parts of our little galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. Then you look at all the other galaxies, and you look at Lana Ikea, and you look at the Great Attractor, and you look at just the depth, everything that the Hubble telescope can see, and then everything outside of the Hubble telescope. Oh, I don't know how you could think that there aren't. There isn't life on another planet. But now on this planet today, a politician running, right? Not someone that thinks Guam's going to tip over if you put more tanks on it, right? Not that. Not some of the, right? Because people say all the time, well, can you believe, these politicians, they just seem crazy. Oh, you think? But here's one going to bat for space aliens, and like I said, I don't want to make this a political show, but I just had to call that out, and we wish her all the luck. Good evening to Henry. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time today. Appreciate everything that you're doing for me and hanging out with us this evening at All Natural Being. Lee says, hey, all hope you're having a splendiferous evening. Well, we are now, Lee. Thanks you very much. Janelle, good evening to you as well. John, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Rita, thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. Candace, I want to say hello. Wayne, hello to Wayne. And Wayne, thank you so very much. Part of my family is from Poland. I love that. Janelle says a part of her family is from Poland. Janelle, maybe we could get them to call in during the 24-hour show. That would be pretty cool. I would love to meet them. I also want to thank Wayne for all the help that he's giving me. Here's a little bit of an update on our 81 to win. A couple different things. Oh, and just before we went on air, now that I see Lee's here, I want to mention that we're going to do, our 24-hour gig coming up here September 2nd through the 3rd, 10 a.m. to 10 a.m., where we're going to keep the show going live for 24 hours. And a little bit of truth in advertising, right? No fake news here. A little bit of truth in advertising. We have countdown clocks. Well, we have a countdown from 24 hours down, and then we have a count up clock, and it's brought to you by Sales Copy Academy. And just before I went on there, knock on the door, right? Go out. The time clocks arrived. Thanks to the good folks at Sales Copy Academy. They're going to be the official timekeepers for our event. And then maybe what we'll do tomorrow night is I'll unbox some of these things and we can kind of look at them. But thank you so very much to the good people over there for keeping us real, keeping us honest. You'll be able to watch the clock throughout the entire event and see what's going on. So I'm very excited for that. Thank you very much. Rita, good evening. If I haven't said hello to you already, thank you very much. So I guess what I wanted to talk to this evening about, your outdated ego being an invasive species. But before we get into that, how can we not talk about a politician that says, oh, yeah, I was abducted by space aliens? It's fantastic. So I'd like to talk a little bit about your belief tonight. Do you think there's life on other planets? Are we the only ones here? How does all that unfold? But before I do that, I want to get to Wayne Noel and to thank him again. He's trying to help me as we get ready to do this. A part of it is we're going to start broadcasting. This morning was the first one. Tomorrow, well, first one of late. Tomorrow will be the Bring Your Own Bold, or as Henry helped me with the tagline, grit to go with your cup of joe. I love that, right? And I don't even drink that much coffee really in the mornings, but I just love that tagline. So Henry is helping me in that regard. And then Wayne has been trying to dial it in so that we can go over to Instagram, IGTV, and get everything set and ready so that you can watch the broadcast, if not the tape, then at least the broadcast of what's going on in the mornings for Bring Your Own Bold. You can watch it over on Instagram, in addition to Facebook and YouTube. You watch it over on Instagram. But what we're finding is that it's kind of they want a strange aspect ratio, which is a term I learned about today. So I don't want to go into it and bore everyone with it, but Wayne is on top of it. He's a really sharp guy, so I wanted to thank him for everything that he did to try to catch me up to speed. And we will have, by the end of the week, it will be going up to IGTV as well. Oh, and Patricia's here. Let me just say that. Hey, Brian, a bit late because of my favorite issue dealing with canceling services via customer reps. Why, thank you, Patricia. I'm glad to have you here whenever you get here, Patricia. Thank you so much. Patricia and I were kicking it around today because at times we're perceived as having a different opinions, but it still stuns us that people of different political opinions, what do they say? Don't talk about religion. Don't talk about politics. I think there's something else that say they don't talk about it. But Patricia and I, we could be absolutely, diametrically opposed. And one of my favorite things to do is to have lunch with her whenever I get a chance, right? So we kind of laughed today going, yeah, people don't see us as two people that you wouldn't think, given some of our opinions. Now, some, we kind of help each other to find some common ground, but she's an absolute blast to hang with. And she says, I love it. A grit to go with a cup of joe. Patricia, we were talking about today. That's Henry's tagline. He came up with that. So I know John says, great tagline. Got the answer. All right. Oh, now Wayne tells me I'm in the middle of the show. I can't hang up right now. But Wayne says he's got the answer. So Wayne, can you post here? Not the answer, but are we going to be able to do it? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Can we get a copy of Bring Your Own Bold in the morning? I think we agreed we have to be under 10 minutes. Can we get that and eventually get it over to IGTV? Oh, and also, if you don't mind me asking you a favor, if you haven't started following us yet over on Instagram, and I never ask anyone, oh, can you stop by and follow me? But here's the thing. At Instagram, we don't have anywhere near 10,000 followers. But if you get to 10,000, now we have that on Facebook, but not on Instagram. If you eclipse that 10,000 number, they let you broadcast a full live hour of video. So we'd really like to get it to the point where in the evenings, All Natural Being can also be broadcast over on IGTV. So that's a little bit of my madness in asking. Patricia says, tonight it will be a glass of red and go for the bold. I like that, Patricia. Now, right, it's red. It's a different glass probably than what you're drinking, but it's red, so I'm with you there as well. So thank you very much for just for the reminder, I guess, Patricia. And so we're going to talk this evening a little bit about space aliens. We're going to talk this evening about outdated ego as an invasive species. And to help, Patricia, Wayne gives it a thumbs up. All right, we're in. We're in, gang. That means we're going to be able to figure out how to broadcast over to IGTV. So if you haven't stopped by on Instagram and you don't mind me asking you for a favor, please do so. Well, that's like two favors because I asked Janelle to see if anyone from her family in Poland would want to call in during the show. Patricia has very graciously agreed to call in. She goes, well, I am kind of up kind of late. Do you mind if I do a late night one? And I'm like, do I mind? That would be great. So thank you for that as well. I know Henry's going to be calling in. Rita's going to be calling in. I hope Wayne calls in. I know John's going to call in. So just to kind of give you an idea of some of the people up and running, I'm hoping Lee will call in. What I'd love to do with Lee and the good folks from Sales Copy Academy is that when one clock goes from 24 hours to down to where I only have 12 left, and the other clock goes, oh, you started at 1 second all the way up to 12 hours. Right then, 10 o'clock, right at the top of the kickoff of the next 12 hours, the second half, the downhill run, I'm going to have Lee from Sales Copy Academy call in, and he's going to be our guest for that 30 minutes so that we can kick around, just some of the things that he's working on. And so that's how I'm kind of planning and plotting that out right now, just to give you a heads up. So if I haven't asked you already, Lee, I will here before too long. All right. So this evening, don't forget, you can give us a call, 833-462-3968, 833-GO-BE-YOU. Now, if you don't mind spending, I guess, the quarter, whatever it is, I don't know how that works anymore. But don't forget, because we've been working with our toll-free line people. They've been given, just waiting to be penciled in, John says, about calling in as to be a guest. Thank you, John, very much. If you don't mind making a call, just give us a call straight up at 614-741-4187. 614-741-4187. If you have any trouble with the troll-free line while they're busy working on that. But, of course, that's 833-462-3968 or 833-GO-BE-YOU. Good evening to John. Thank you for watching us here on All Natural Being. John, you'll appreciate it. I gave my first political endorsement of, at least the last decade, I would think. But I have a political endorsement for the young lady in Florida who Matthew, thank you for joining us this evening on All Natural Being. Nice to see you. She gets the endorsement from the Miami Herald, and maybe she's the only one. Maybe some of the other ones have done this, but this one at least caught my eye. She was abducted at age 7, so she says, by space aliens. Took her up on a spaceship, and it was all run by crystals and everything else. So there's my first ever political endorsement. Just a little bit of truth in advertising, right? Because I've often said, let me just say this. This will be the last thing. Hello, Shane. Good evening. Thank you for joining us here on All Natural Being. Matt from IPMNation.com. Matt, thank you very much for everything you've done to keep the show, everything you do to help us to keep the show #1 on IPM Nation. And Matt, you should know Wayne has done a little bit of checking, and the different places that are picking up now, thanks to your work for iHeartRadio and your work to get us on Spotify, it's blowing up all over the place for us. I guess we're in more places than I ever even dreamt. So, Matt, thank you very much for that. Yes, Henry. Yeah, the Matt Connerton is in the house. Absolutely. So can I give you my idea? Last little thing about politics, and then, as one would, let's just get right to space aliens, because I think that's what we should talk about tonight. It's my idea. When people say, the president, he's just crazy. To be honest with you, I've often thought, if it's been your goal since you were little, if you've always wanted to be the title, if you've always wanted to be the most powerful man or the most powerful woman in the world, you're basically like Lex Luthor on Superman. And if you and I had a friend that said, I would love, once you get past all this, I'm in it to be a public servant. No, public siphon, not a public servant, right? You get past all that mashugana. If anyone were to say, hey, I want to be the most powerful person in the world, you and I wouldn't hang out with him. We went to a party. We'd walk in and go, there he is over there. Or let's avoid her like the plague. She wants to be the most powerful person in the world. So here's what I think. Let me say, hi, Gene. Thank you so much for joining us this evening on All Natural Being. Thank you for your time today. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so very much for both today and then again for joining us this evening. Here's my take before we get into politicians that have been abducted by space aliens. One can hope, right? But in any event, I think the presidency, I think what I should do tonight is call for rewriting the Constitution, right? Now, I'm a libertarian, but right. So everyone always expects me to call for the rewrite. But I think we should rewrite the Constitution, and that the president should not be elected by the popular vote anymore. It should be a lottery system, and you're hanging out one day. Shane's at home one night. His phone rings, and he picks up the phone. He goes, hi. And they go, is this Shane? And he goes, in fact, it is. It's me. And they go, well, we've called to tell you that your name was picked in the lottery. Now you're going to be president of the United States for the next 4 years. Because, see, then you get people that never really wanted the gig in the first place, that were never really, enamored with this idea of around-the-clock Secret Service protection and Air Force One and Marine One and all the rest of these things, right? But then you're going to get people that I think real caliber, not career politicians, not people that want the gig, but people that, you want to talk about public servants as opposed to public siphons. If it's a lottery system, then people can call in and say, yeah, Shane, yeah, you know what? Sorry to stick you, brother, but you're the next president for 4 years. Right? Then I think we're going to start getting people. And people go, well, how do you know you're not calling someone that's not qualified? What? Have you been around the last 50 years of my life? You picked the president. I don't care who you picked. You can't go, yeah, that's a cool guy. I think I'd like to hang out. Right? You just can't do that. It can't be done. Now, maybe some of you, I've met a handful of presidents. I know people in the thread that have met a handful of presidents. I'm simply suggesting that maybe instead of voting for someone that works so hard, spends so much money, not to take care of the people that are homeless, not to feed people, not to take care of medicines for people that can't afford them, not any of these other things, just millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars an hour to get elected to an office so they can be the most powerful person in the world. I say we do away with all of it, and it's a lottery system. You get a call. Hi, is this Rita? Why, yes, it is. Oh, hi, Rita. You're the next president of the United States. 4 years. Is that cool with you? We'll send a helicopter. Marine One, don't worry about that, the sound of that in the front yard. Don't worry about that. Yeah, that's Marine One coming to pick you up. Yeah, we'll send Secret Service for your family and some of your baggage. And could you come to the White House for the next 4 years and be president of the United States? Then we'll know that's when we're getting caliber people. I don't take too much BS, Shane. So see, Shane is already going, I lose my number. Don't call me. Gene, thank you very much. I truly appreciate it. You are going to call it the constipation. There you go, Henry. I'm with you on that. Oh my, the world would not like me. I don't know, Shane. I kind of think with your martial arts background and everything else, I think you'd be the perfect person. But now Shane's like, oh, don't call me. John says, how about wanting to be the happiest person in the world? I'm with you. You know what, John? I'm one of them. I'll give you that. I've had some hurdles thrown at me, as you know, but I'm digging the gig. Shane says, I don't take too much BS. I don't think any of them do. Patricia says, oh, my God, I can get on board with that if we cut the term to 2 years. That's fair, right? Because be honest, Rita, if the helicopter lands to pick you up, you might have plans. And you might be going, I don't know. 4 years sounds like a long time. So let's meet Patricia halfway. She says she could get in to the idea, right? Marine One lands in your front yard, picks you up. But now you only have to do a 2-year term. Patricia, I think that'd work. She says, no backing out. It's the ultimate draft. Boy, wouldn't that be the case? You're not kidding, Patricia. John Brawdy, see, John, and let me say this. I know John. I happen to know John. He's a friend of the family, so to speak. And I know John has met presidents. So when he says Shane for 2020, I'd be careful, Shane. That phone could ring any minute now, and you could be, right? It could be a gig for you. Candace Johnson said, do I get to keep the china and the silver? My bad. Oh, no. It's just like me with blue stripe towels. By accident, they just seem to end up in my luggage when I get back and when I, hit a hotel. Right. Same thing. So, yeah, I don't know if you get to keep. Well, let's do this. Maybe you get to keep like a setting to remind you of the 2 years, right? Because we have to incentivize this gig somewhere, because normal people are going to go, oh, I'm sorry, you dialed the wrong number. Did you mean Shane or Sean? Oh, I thought you said Sean. Sorry, you dialed the wrong number. It's not me. So I'm with you, Candace. Maybe we can incentivize people with a nice run of cutlery, right? Maybe some china. Maybe we could go, oh, yeah, how would you like to sleep in the Lincoln bedroom? Or, we could get your picture taken in front of the White House Christmas tree. That means you would be a stellar president. I think Shane would be great at it. I have tolerance for stupid, though, one of my many flaws. But you know what, Shane? I think that's what, and because here's the thing. When Patricia and I talk about our debates, I say all the time, can't spell Brian without the I. Does stupid have an I in it? Yes, it does. Can't spell Brian without the I in stupid. I think I just made my point, right? But here's the thing. You want to be able to tolerate that in your closest friends, right? Because sometimes we're going to say some things. Patricia says, no, we get the same salary as the Swampers get. Oh, now see? So you're thinking, Patricia, that salary, presidential hunger game. I'm telling you, who says there's not value to this show? You know, the critics that go, oh, I don't know. I don't got time to tune into All Natural Being. We're rewriting the Constitution tonight, and we haven't even gotten to space aliens yet. Presidential hunger games. Unbelievable. That's a great idea. Right? Can you imagine that? Just pick. Okay, I see. I'm only going to get in trouble when I say this, and I know Sue's already given me the side eye, and she goes, please don't get this. But I remember way back when, let me say good evening to Zoe, a former president, and I won't say, because people say, oh, you're piling on. Well, I can't help it that he sucked at basketball, and I'm not piling on. But the word got out that he was playing basketball, and the White House edited all the shots where he missed and made it look like every time he took a shot, it was a three-pointer. So can you imagine, just think of your last 10 presidents in the Hunger Games. That's a great thought, Shane. Shane, I am voting for you for president. We are in District 13. Yes. Somebody tell me, wasn't there like a bird chirp or something else? See, Patricia knows her stuff, Shane. All I'm saying. John knows. And John Brawdy gets credit because he was the first one to say, Shane Phelps, 2020. See, this is a smart group of people we got here at All Natural Being. All right, so let's get on to it this evening. Don't forget, if you want to give us a call, 833-GO-BU, 833-462-3968. What's the scoop? There really could be. We talk about all natural being, but ultimately, outside of the debates of religion and science and politics and all the rest of it, you look up at a nighttime sky. Why couldn't we believe in that there's life on another planet? And why couldn't we believe, right? And people say, oh, whoa, you got tinfoil up underneath that baseball cap? As Wayne and I were saying today, when it comes to hopping out of the shower, it takes me an extra 20 minutes to get my hair ready. But in any event, no, not tinfoil caps, but just think about it. With all the stars in the nighttime sky, the daytime sky for that matter, you just can't see them, but you look up in the nighttime sky, what would be wrong with believing there's life on another planet? It's not going to do anything to ruin the life here on this planet. People say, oh, it just runs contrary to religion. Well, what if there's like gardens of Eden all over the place, right? What if God's like a busy guy? God's a busy woman running all over the universe. Garden of Eden's wherever they want. So let me get this straight. 6 days, the whole thing. 7th day, you've rested. You do this whole thing. You're that omniscient, that omnipotent. You're going to let it all ride on one Garden of Eden? Nah, you're going to spread the love around is all I'm thinking. Garden of Eden's on all kinds of planets. I don't... Candace, I don't know. I don't know if she was. The article doesn't say, but if she gets into the house, she's going to be. I don't know. I don't know, but that's a great question. So what would be wrong with believing that there could be life on another planet? You watch that Ancient Alien show. Good golly. It's hard to look at some of that stuff and go, we did that with like a chisel and bamboo wrapped as rope and all these other things. You look at some of it and I go, I don't know. Man, there was a lot of technology going on. As John says, the multiverse is ripe for the picking. Well, if that's true, and I believe that it is, if the multiverse is ripe for the picking, then God just is like, nah, let's duck over here and do one here, do one there, right? You've heard my opinion before about Adam and Eve, right? Well, maybe there's Adam and Eve's and other Gardens of Edens that did okay. Yeah, if the multiverse is ripe for the picking, I'm all over the concept of God going, yeah, I'll just duck on over here. Right? I'll blow across the chaos, the dark waters. I'll send the wind, the ruach. I'll send it across Mars, wherever, right? Wherever we are. Patricia says, Shane, I just looked you up on your Facebook page, and I love the snake story. I need a friend like you to help me, and I got to figure out how to be able to do this. Oh, I need a friend like you to help me with my snowflake lifestyle. Shane, let me just offer you a word of caution. Just so you know, Patricia may be a snowflake, but in all the people I've ever met, she goes from snowflake to avalanche in under 6 seconds. She is a formidable debater. She knows what's going on. So just don't fall for the helping her with her snowflake lifestyle. Well, here's the thing. You should know, Patricia, Shane's into martial arts, so he'll be ready for you no matter what's going on. All right, what a way to. So we know that's line 2. Let's go down this way. Good evening. Welcome to All Natural Being. Who are we talking to?
Hey, this is Shane.
Hey, Shane. Well, listen, Shane, people putting you up for 2020. John is saying jump in. Patricia's like, she's been over to your page. Just, you got to watch out for Patricia. I mean, you're good at martial arts, but she knows, I say all the time, you might be a snowflake, but she goes to avalanche in under 6 seconds, brother. You got to.
Yeah.
You got to watch her for
only
sure.
Used when needed. Only used when needed.
She is something else. Henry says here, if we are the intelligence of the universe, God help the universe. Boy, you are not kidding, right? That's the case. It's a very religious experience for me.
Let's assume that there are intelligent beings out there other than ourselves. And let's assume that we were all created in a similar image, so to speak. With the way that things go now and things are now, would you really want to meet another version of that? Like us? We're so caught up with ourselves.
Sure.
And possessions and labels and ego and that why would somebody different being choose us to learn from?
Well, let me just say this, and only because I want to be able to listen to the rest of the stuff you're saying. Candace says, if aliens are listening, please call in and try to communicate for the 24-hour gig. Candace, thank you very much. But here's, and I've been suffering some kind of chest cold, so it's hard for me. But Henry says, Shane, your wife just told me she is not cleaning the whole White House.
Yeah.
So John can nominate you. Patricia can second it. I can make sure that we pull out just a stellar campaign. But your wife's throwing down the gauntlet, and she says, "Yeah, there's no reason. There's no way I'm cleaning up the White House." And she goes, "I can't get you to help me around here."
She was listening, and she's like, "Yeah, you could do it, but I'm not doing it with you."
Henry, now getting back to your point, Henry says that the White House, that's hysterical. But see, that's how we have to incentivize, Shane. That's all I'm talking about. Let her know that we'll have a staff for that, right? She'll be able to pick the staff to help, or you'll help, right? Or to make sure that someone's there to pick up your socks. Henry says, how can we be so arrogant to believe we're the only intelligence in the universe? Go ahead, Shane.
Well, it's funny that you bring up, the staff, and we were just talking about that over dinner, and she's like, that's why I don't hire a maid, because they don't do it right. And what that really means is they don't do it like she does it. So.
Well, see, then I think she needs to be number 2 on the ticket. Or maybe we should have her run, and you can be her second, right? She could be, for 2020, it'll be your wife that runs, and then you can be the vice president. So we have a 1-2 ticket. That could work.
I have no doubt that she could do it also.
And here's what I love about Patricia, Shane. Patricia just says, we need an all-natural being convention to elect Shane as our candidate for 2020. See, I think we're on to something here. I think we're on to something here. I really do.
I still don't think that's a good idea.
Well, I think it's a great idea. Here we go. Shane for the win. Shane for the win. Candace says, I'll clean with life benefits. Oh, now see? So now we get to bring into this. That's a great idea. Well, then if Candace is going to clean the inside, could I take a gig doing the rose garden? Nah, I don't know nothing about flowers. Forget that. Well, I'm no good as a car mechanic. I wouldn't do you any good in the motor pool. I'm an ex-cop. I could probably do security of some sort, see if I couldn't help that way for lifelong benefits. All right. So I don't want to get too far away from this because, as Rita says, they are out there. I think they're just sitting out there having a large time watching us take ourselves down the tube. Boy, isn't that the case? What do you think, Shane?
Yeah.
I think
no
that's to your
kidding.
point.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's right, but I mean, at the same time, that's what, you know, a show like yours is about. Getting people to wake up to the fact that we are heading downhill, but there's still time. You know, you could turn yourself around at any moment and make it right again, whether it's for yourself or for your family or whatever. There's always time.
There's always time. And as Patricia just said, I will help with the planting of a veggie garden. I know Michelle left one for us. Yeah, I think there was a rabbit problem, I think, in the veggie garden that used to be there. I don't know. But Patricia volunteered to see. So tell your wife not to worry. We'll get the people are volunteering already to be a part of the Shane Phelps 2020. I made a mistake and picked up the phone one night when I shouldn't have. And so now you're the president of the United States. See, I think this could be a political show. We'll just talk about the nominating platform, the A and B convention, as Patricia said, and that's how we'll do it. We'll get it to where you'll be the guy that runs for president. All right, I've had enough fun with the political stuff, but tell me, Shane, this concept, right, of a politician saying, "Oh, I was abducted by an alien." I mean, right? I have my own alien story, but I won't bore it with you now. But where I was just out somewhere and something so strange happened that I don't know how it couldn't be a UFO, but that's for another night. But Henry Noel, Shane magnanimously elected in 2020.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not so naive to think that we are the ultimate in all the universe and all of the possible worlds that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that, I mean, it's possible.
Sure.
But I think, what I think is great about that, not the fact that, you know, she said she had an experience with aliens or anything, but the fact that she was brave enough as a politician in a position that she's in to actually say that in the public,
right,
without being afraid of what the repercussions could be. Just whether it happened or not, she made it up. You know, you know, maybe she had some bad sushi and started hallucinating. Who knows? But just the fact that she was brave enough to come forward and say it, being in the position that she's in, I think that's great.
And as Patricia just said, Brian, abduction by an alien is not one of the worst things a candidate could have on their resume.
Nowadays, that's for sure.
That is, boy, isn't that the case, right? Isn't that the case? You know, and people could offer, well, who hasn't? Let me also say good evening, Shane. So right. Her bravery to stand up and say who she is makes her a candidate who is different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Patricia agrees with you. And Henry says political correctness corrected. Let me say good evening to Marilyn. Marilyn, thank you so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being. We're talking about space aliens, right? But more importantly now, maybe we're just talking about someone that goes, this is my story. I'm sticking to it, right? So maybe that's why I kind of just locked onto her when I said that she got the Miami Herald's endorsement. Maybe you and Patricia raise a very valid point. Maybe subconsciously, that's why I was like, great. I think I'm drawn to this woman, to this political candidate, because look, that's what she believes, and she's telling the truth. And whatever happens, happens. God love her.
Yeah, well, and maybe this is her step into her own awakening and dropping the ego. Because I mean, let's face it, you probably haven't met a politician or listened to a politician where the ego just isn't spewing out of their mouths with every word.
Right.
Maybe this is how she decided to drop that ego, drop that stereotype.
Sure.
And do her own kind of awakening, whatever that may be for her. Who knows?
And, Shane, you raised a valid point when you said earlier these aliens are going to be looking down at us. What are they going to learn from us? Maybe, and we'll talk to Henry about this, and I mean this in all sincerity, maybe if you have come from a place in the universe where you've been around a lot longer than we have, maybe you have eclipsed the need for an ego. Maybe your civilization did one day wake up and go, now, an outdated ego is in fact an invasive species, like the kudzu vines, right? The kudzu vines of your mind, the zebra mollusks of your mind, Asian carp of your cognition. You get where I'm going, right? So maybe these aliens are like, no, we're not busy blowing up planets and doing this and that because we've gotten beyond all the traps that the ego has set for you. Because I think the saddest thing, Shane, is to look around at how, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, you couldn't have destroyed the planet if you wanted to. Now it becomes, I was listening on NPR today and they were having a discussion about, well, if this one launches a nuclear warhead, we have less than 7 minutes for this one to launch a nuclear warhead. So there's no deterrent other than allegedly the mental health of the person with the football, right? The nuclear football. Other than that, there's no deterrent. Well, I launched to try to get his missile silos because he launched to try to get our missile silos. And you look at the people running around on the planet today that have the ability to launch nuclear warheads. That's the definition of Meshuggah to me.
Yeah, the definition of scary. I mean, to put it the way you say it off, a lot of times that is the very definition of ego.
Sure.
Having that ability and having whatever you want, or to be able to threaten whatever you want because you've got the button on those silos. I mean, what does that prove exactly?
Nothing.
That, okay, great, you can destroy an entire country and an entire race. Good for you.
Absolutely.
What does that get? What does that get you other than an inflated ego?
Absolutely.
And a sense of entitlement.
Yep. As Patricia just says, as Patricia just says, and this is why I think she's a fan now, Shane. Patricia says those of us who are listening to you, Brian, may be one emotion away from Asperger's. Well, I am, that's for sure. Or a syllable away from Tourette's syndrome. I'll bark out crap just anytime I can. But we are the great unwashed of this nation who want to be ourselves. Now we want representation in Congress. Step up to the plate for Shane. See, she's already writing your taglines. She's already writing your bumper stickers. But I think she's got a point there. As nuts as we may all be. Well, so it's nuts to want to be happy? It's nuts to not want to kill each other? It's nuts to want to try to get along? Right? So maybe it's a good thing to be nuts. If as Patricia says, we may all be, a couple cards shy of a full deck. But if all the best intentions that we have for all natural being makes us nuts, then so what? Let them call us nuts. Yeah,
so what? I mean, so you're missing a couple of cards in your deck. Make it work for you. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Hell, I haven't played with a full deck in decades.
I haven't. I'm not sure I was ever given one, to be honest with you. Henry says, with all the lies we are told every day, and we are so willing to believe them, why not representatives who admit to different experiences? Another great point. Why not?
Sure.
Patricia says the powers that be are calling us crazy.
It goes back to, well, I'm a politician. I have to live by these rules.
Right.
And if I go outside of that, then I could lose my power. I could lose my position just for speaking my own mind. I have to say what everybody else is saying so I can keep, the fancy house and the bodyguards and a job that allows me to work less than 100 days a year and get 6 figures. I mean,
not only get 6 figures, get lifetime. Don't you get medical benefits that are just top notch? I mean, I don't know what it would be. Yeah. It's better than a Cadillac. All right, Shane, hold on one second. Let's take this call, see who we have here. Let me see. Get out here. Good evening. Welcome to All Natural Being. Who do we got?
This is Henry. This is too good to pass up.
Henry. So Shane's wife goes, I don't care what he says. How many bathrooms are in the White House? She goes, well, I'm not cleaning the White House. That was hysterical, Henry. I almost couldn't breathe.
That was true, too.
Oh, look at John. John's on here now, Henry. John says, don't be lame. Vote for Shane. I'm telling you, the bumper stickers are coming. You better watch, Shane. Good evening, Sarah. Please tell everybody I said howdy. John, thank you for doing some taglines for Shane. So that's it. Maybe Shane's got a good point. Henry, what do you think? If these advanced civilizations are so advanced, maybe they're past all the things that we talk about all the time, about the ego being an invasive species and outdated and all these things. Maybe there's something to that.
Well, just do the math. I mean, you've
Sure.
got a planet of Earth that's, 4 point something billion years old, as the scientists say. You have a universe that's, 19 billion years old.
Mm-hmm.
And we are a very late bloomer out here as far as creation is concerned. So do the math. That's many, many billions of years that people could have, that other aliens have totally blown away us with technology. So
Sure.
absolutely, the possibilities, and that's what they are. The possibilities
Sure.
are just endless when you really look at it. Yeah, I mean, our arrogance to think that we're the only ones out here that would be really sad if that's the case. I mean, if we're the best that comes out of this. Whoa. I'm not sure that's a good thing.
Patricia says, John Brawdy, we are writing the sound bites for those who will like the rhyme but don't want to spend the time on hearing the word. Ooh, very interesting.
All right.
I like that. Don't be lame. Vote for Shane. I like it. Thank you, Patricia, very much. So, and again, here's I said, here we go, Shane. This is for you.
Yeah.
All right. Clear out some room in the front yard. Here's Marine One getting ready to land. I love that. To me, that's the way it should go. All right, so I said I didn't want to make the show about politics, and I apologize. We hijacked it. But, Henry, now that I have you and Shane here, parting thoughts on what would be wrong with believing that we can one day outgrow our ego, and if there, in fact, are aliens from other civilizations, maybe when they're doing the tests. Candace asked earlier if the young lady was subject. They're doing all the tests on human beings. I'll just leave it like that. They're doing all the tests. Maybe they're testing to see. I can't believe they still as ridden with the ego as they are. I can't believe that they've gotten to the point where a dozen people are running around the planet looking for nuclear weapons. As Shane says, all about the ego, so they can, that sense of bravado. Maybe that's what it's all about.
I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I don't think you'd be doing what you're doing, and many others out there doing what they're doing to wake up society, to get them to realize that we have such potential, and we really can wake up and do it. We simply have to want to do that. And so, I'd be wasting my total time if I didn't believe that we can actually make a change like that we can't advance and do it on our own without any help. I totally believe that there's hope for us, and it's just more hope for those that are open and understanding and willing to listen to your show, for one. But I do believe there is hope out there for everybody that really wants to be serious about improving themselves and getting a better life and enjoying the life that they've got.
Well, I know for me, I look at it, we went to the pool the other day and I happened to bump into someone that it was obvious they had had brain surgery, and they're not doing as well in terms of their recovery. So even through circumstances like that, where I look at it and go, yeah, it's been kind of a rough go of late, but it's still something to be happy, something to be excited, something to be driven by. And then a friend of mine who lives here, not far from me here in the neighborhood, lost his leg from the knee down. But if you talk to him, you'd be like, hey, I see him now, and I go, look, we're both cyborgs. You got a prosthetic. I have I don't know if a shunt is considered a prosthetic. It ought to be, right? So we're both cyborgs. But he doesn't miss a beat. He still smiles. He still laughs. He still jokes. He still carries on. And you think, man, I wish I had I hope that I would have the temperament if I lost a leg that he does. It's just an inspiring guy because of the way he handles it. But for all of us, we could look at life that way and go, at least we were given a shot here in the labyrinth. At least we were dropped here in the garden of the mortals. And now it's time to take advantage of it in any way we can.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. I mean, look at what you've gone through, Brian. I mean, you could have given up at any point in time, and yet you chose not to. You chose to stand there and fight. And not only stand there and fight, but to change people, get people to get educated, to get them smarter, to get them to be more aware of what they really have at this point. I mean, I hate to say that it seems like we have to be on the verge of losing everything before we get to an appreciation for what we have. But sometimes that is the way it is, but we don't have to have it that way. That's ego talking. You have gone through a lot, and you stood up, and here you are doing the impossible.
Well, thank you, sir.
Absolute impossible. You're doing it.
Well, thank you, sir, very much. I appreciate it. And I would say to you that it's a little less about what I have to teach people, or I would say to you, don't be like me. Don't get to the point where you just think your life is all about X or Y or Z, and don't take life for granted. Don't take, people say, oh, I'm killing time. What? Well, I got a few hours to kill. A few hours to kill. Right? So I think for me, it's like, my message is always don't be like me. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Don't always be waiting for something, the seventh heaven. What is it you can be thankful for right now, given a whole bag of ailments, a whole bag of things that are aligned against you, a whole bag of excuses as to why you can't put your heart's highest priority top of the list, and then do
Absolutely.
it, and then do it anyways.
And think about how much time we spend in the now, and it seems like the only time we spend in the now is complaining about the past or the future and all of our present problems. But we don't take the advantage of the now to really glorify what we do have.
Absolutely true. Patricia just says A and B is all about glorifying the best of the individual, how we manage ourselves and accept ourselves without any exceptions. Absolutely agree, Patricia. Thank you for that very much. And that's the case. And Patricia and I were talking today, Henry, about, it's just fascinating. She has friends. You have friends. Shane, if he's still with us, Shane has friends. We all have friends that go, oh, I can't. That person is a different political party, a different skin color, a different religion, a different this, a different that. Oh, I couldn't possibly talk to them. And then we were just sadly thinking about the irony of all the reasons why we're not supposed to get along. Yet for those of us that just go, it's crazy, right? We're not going to let all these divisions derail us from being cool to each other. It's just not going to happen.
And that's the saddest part. I mean, I've used that term many times. We are members of the same race, the human race. That's the only really race that's out there is the human race. And we are all brothers and sisters. It doesn't matter the skin color. It doesn't matter the hair color, the eye color. It doesn't matter the religion. It doesn't matter with the political status we stand. Those are all man-made. Those are all man-created reasons to divide us. We're human. We are part of the human race. That's really all we need to care about.
I couldn't agree more. Shane, let me ask you, are you busy trying offline now, trying to convince your wife that she won't have to clean the White House once you're elected in 2020? Is that where you are? What happened to Shane? Is she still with us? No.
No, I'm trying to running through if there's any scandals in my life that become public.
Well, listen, Shane, if there is, come back. I'm sure Patricia will agree. John will agree. I bet Rita and Henry will agree. Let's get here. Let's get out ahead of them. If there's skeletons in your closet, let's get them out now.
Deal with it now, right?
Yeah, let's deal with it now, right? It's only when it's a surprise that it hurts. Let's deal with it now and get it out there. Let me also say good evening to Philip. Thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. I don't know what we're talking about tonight, Philip, but we're just about ready to wrap it up. So, Shane, before I say goodnight, any parting thoughts as you prepare for your presidential phone call in 2020?
Not on that, but to go off of what Henry was saying, there is just one race, and it doesn't matter, what your political, religious affiliation, color, or whatever, and And to point on what you and Patricia were talking about, I myself actually go out of my way to talk to those people with differentiating views.
Sure.
One, because if you go with an open mind and the other person can be just as open-minded, you can learn something.
Sure.
And, it never hurts to learn something else. That, and I just enjoy stirring the pot.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I have no problem having a healthy argument with someone,
Sure.
if both sides are saying something fairly intelligent and it's
Sure.
not just spewing,
Sure.
then there's nothing wrong with that.
I agree.
And people are afraid of that because, well, they're different. That goes back to ego because they're not the same as you.
Right.
Well, that's great. I don't want somebody
It's the same as me,
exactly
right?
like
Cookie
me.
cutter, right?
I've been married for 20 years, and we've been married that long because we don't agree on a lot of things.
Sure.
But we can discuss those things
Sure.
and work through them and compromise, and there's nothing wrong with that. People just need to get over themselves.
And I think that's why, Shane, you should know that Patricia says, I will help your wife hire someone to clean the White House. See, I think we're starting a movement here. Shane says, I love you stirring the pot. Is inbred in this woman. Patricia, you absolutely enjoy stirring the pot. So I knew that tagline from Shane would actually get your attention. Henry, last thoughts for you before we get ready to get out of here at the top of the hour.
Oh, I'm voting for Shane. I'm sorry, that's it. We're just going to put him in the White House.
Yeah, now all I have to do is get the Constitution rewritten. But I think that's what we do. We'll do it as a call. It's a lottery pick, and we'll just make sure, as John says, we'll make sure that Shane gets to be it. And then we'll hire Patricia, right? Like Secretary of State. We do Patricia. We'll have all these different people that can just help and make sure that it's exactly what you want. John says, I think we all agree that the White House needs to be cleaned. All right. On that note, John says we all agree the White House needs to be clean. So, Patricia, there might be something to that. All right, Shane and John and Henry, thank you so very much for your thoughts. Shane and Henry, thank you very much for calling in this evening. We're going to go ahead and get ready to wrap it up before the top of the hour. But thank you guys so very much. It just I look forward to speaking to you whenever you have the opportunity to call in, and I always have a blast. So thank you all both very much.
All right, thank you too, sir.
Thanks again.
Okay, Patricia says she's in, Shane. Just so you know, Henry, if Shane's not going to tell his wife, say Patricia says she's in, so she'll help in doing whatever she has to. Let her know.
Nice.
All right.
All right.
Good night. All right. Thank you all so very much for hanging out with us. Patricia, John, everyone for hanging here in the thread. Thank you. And John as well. I have to get more info but on his platform, but maybe Shane 2020. Maybe. Well, thank you so very much for calling in and hanging out with us. Thank you for everyone here in the thread. We will be back tomorrow morning. Don't forget, we'll be doing the Bring Your Own Bold at 7 a.m. Eastern. And then we will be also, obviously, back tomorrow night. And I believe it's episode 293 of All Natural Being. But until that point, don't forget, go be you. We'll see you all tomorrow night.
IPMNation.com.